Welcome to Talking Yoga. We have Kelly Morris. Kelly, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I would like to start with asking you a question. In your role as a teacher of teachers, what do you think your responsibility to these prospective teachers is?
You know, for a long time I was involved in Tibetan Buddhism, which is one of the most hierarchical, codified systems of the patriarchy I've ever seen. There's always someone above you, there's always someone below you. Somebody always knows more than you, someone always knows less than you. As a result of that, it's a very cookie-cutter, proscribed path. There's one answer to a question. If you manage to be inducted into a lineage, like His Holiness is of the Gelugpa lineage, there's one answer to a question. As a student, you're not really permitted to extrapolate or get creative because it's said to be the demise of the lineage. Like you're baking a cake and you're reading the recipe. Or as you can think of it as like a game of telephone. I think we talked about this before. You know, like one thing and then it gets passed around, the next thing you know, the cake doesn't rise. And it's not because cakes don't rise. Your cake doesn't rise because you didn't have the right ingredient list. So I had this as a result of my training, which was very intense, rigorous for maybe 8 years, extensive study. As a result of that, you want to protect the lineage that you've been graced and honored to be brought into. And it's a very afraid to use that word, but it's a very masculine way. It's like the father knows best. I know best. I'm the guru. I'm the teacher. I know something you don't know. You're going to pay me $4,000 to give it to you. Right? Then I found, as I left that community, that became really unhealthy, that when I started to recover through my practice of shamanism, the practices that are indigenous to all of the cultures of this world, to the original peoples, which you're one and I'm one, way back when, the healing practices were so profound that I was allowed to follow. It's an interesting thing. It's like the human being, especially the Westerner, wants measurable progress, and that's why hierarchical systems work. You start as a secretary, then you're an executive secretary, then maybe you're the boss, but probably not if you're a woman, you're just sleeping with the boss, right? And we can get into that later, why that happens. So what I've found is that I can make students become like bonsai trees. You can take a beautiful thing and you can warp and weft it into a shape. And it can function okay, but it retains very little of its original shape, its original essence. And what I found was that I myself was resistant to being put into that small of a box in a way. The shamanism practices began to heal what had happened to me in that community. And it was the thing that brought me into relationship with the macro from my micro kind of position. And I found that, like snowflakes, like fingerprints, everyone is completely different. That your relationship to the divine is singular, indelible, and completely unique. It will not be replicated by anyone in the future and has never been done before. And it's deeply private. And most people have been robbed of self-trust because of the way our society is set up. Someone always knows better than you. Your dad, your shrink, your rabbi, your priest, your mullah, the scale, the mirror. Everybody knows what you are except you. And I found that there's a way that you can reconnect people to their native intelligence and allow them to forge their own path, to make their own way. And I really believe that in some ways the Tibetan Buddhist modality is intrinsic in many ways in the culture. Like nobody trusts themselves. What should I do? Everyone walks around, what do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? There's no sense of, because there's no connection to the macro, they don't know what they should do. You see? Because they're just lost. They're not anchored into anything. They're just floating through life, reading Vogue magazine, eating at McDonald's, or drinking green juice and sticking a bindi on their head and being like, I'm spiritual now, you know?
So what does the practice of shamanism have to counter that, to get people into their personal responsibility, let's say?
It's very interesting. It's like the root of the word matter itself, atoms and molecules, is a Latin word mater, which means mother. And then that moved to materialia, which means substance or materials. And then we have matter itself. Matter is mother. Mother is all around you. She's the ground beneath us. When the Christians blew into town 2,500 years ago, they told everyone, oh, you're so wrong. We have a creation story that we made up that the Pope just admitted was pulled out of the collective Catholic ass. He just admitted that. It's not true, the Garden of Eden. But as a result of that myth, God left the premises. He's up there someplace. He's not here anymore. And when divinity leaves here, what happens? Earth is an exploitable dead rock orbiting the sun. And by default, so are women. Both are the wellspring of life. Both are exploited. You know, the global extermination of women is increasing. I mean, we could go into that too, right? I mean, even in the motherland of India, women are getting gang raped on public buses. Abortion rights now. I mean, everything is slanted against women. So God left the premises, which means that Earth becomes something irrelevant. It's a stepping stone, literally, to get to someplace else. When that happened, when human beings were told that everything around them is devoid of anything worthwhile, then who cares if you destroy the Earth? Because there's nothing here anyway, right? Shamanism proposes an entirely different paradigm, and it's one that's been around far longer than Christianity, Judaism, or any other religion that's operative. It's the original kind of earth religion, you could say. And they say, oh my, oh, someone told you that, that God left, or divinity left? Oh, I'm so sorry, child. No, that's totally wrong. Your myth of creation, the Garden of Eden, with Eve being the culprit, just, you know, deterring man from his relationship to God. Like, that's not true, actually. God never left. Never left. Eden is right here. And if we understood that, we would treat it like that, you know? So it's very beautiful.